You can't call yourself an activist if you refuse to talk to those that disagree with you. I've seen a lot of posts where people say to unfriend or never talk to them again if they have a different opinion, for example on masks or protests. I think this is 100% fine to do, and understand for a lot of people this is necessary to preserve their mental health. At the same time, this negates the fact that you are an activist. If you refuse to discuss opinions with those that disagree, you will never change their view. What is activism if not trying to help people change and be better? This also applies to groups like Pink Pillars who heavily demonize certain groups of people. Telling people they are trash and inherently evil shuts down the conversation and isn't activism. Honest to God. I'm willing to march in the streets and die for what I believe in. That's great, but what we really need you to do is talk with your casually racist uncle so he can dash. Nope. Very few activists actually are. Complaining on social media about everything isn't activism. Absolutely. Echo chambers help no one. If you want to be an activist, go out and talk to people who disagree and change their minds. That's the whole point of being an activist. Which is why I have massive respect for real activists like Daryl Davis. He embodies the kind of spirit I want to see more of. LOL. So basically all of r/news r/politics etc. the entire front page. I used to be an activist. One of the most infuriating things was watching folks stop traffic, interrupt everyone's day, and then, when someone would actually engage and ask questions, their response would always be, "It's not my job to educate you." Like, dude, you literally stopped them from going about their day to talk about this. I'd say it's your job to educate them. Yes, I agree with this. You're not responsible for changing minds, but don't call yourself an activist then. You're a malcontent with a platform, nothing more. And I don't have to agree with you. That's why they all really hate Daryl Davis. I want this as a bumper sticker. There's actually an old song by an Aussie punk band Frenzal Tomb called Racist. There's a line in there. To ignore is to condone it. If you think about it, don't shut up. And every time I hear that song I remember you need to speak up. The chorus also repeats some of my best friends are racist, which highlights that you can be friends with someone who's casually racist and use that friendship and speak up to help make them a better person. And then they host a conversation, but it's just a group of people who agree on the same thing circle jerking each other. Reddit in a nutshell. Well, it depends. A protest is usually not a debate. I mean, this just proves that their arguments are based on nothing and they can't defend them. Avoiding or rather undermining your opposition is a sign of weakness, hypocrisy and idiocy. That's an anarchist. Adding to this, you don't have to call out everyone and everything to be an activist. Be smart, choose your battles. You can't help people if they refuse to talk to you. How about instead of going into a discussion trying to change someone's mind, you instead go into it willing to learn something and maybe change your own mind? Sounds like someone who'd rather have an argument than a discussion. There is good and bad activism. Activism at its core is acting a certain way in an effort to cause/promote a positive change. Just because you aren't a good open-minded activist because you ignore or shut down some groups doesn't degrade you to not being an activist. You just aren't as good as an activist as you could be by being willing to engage in dialogue with those outside of your views. I'm a conservative and I see all sorts of activism as you are describing. Sorry, but even if you are in an echo chamber and blocking anyone without your opinions, you are still an activist if you go around acting in a way to promote the change. So if you do a litter pickup that isn't negated by you blocking some people on Facebook, you are just a less than ideal activist. I'm totally okay with people having a different opinion than me, love it actually. It really gives insight to what other people in the country are thinking. But if someone believes in violent homophobia, is misogynistic to the point of thinking it's okay to hurt women, or thinks it's justified that some people should be out starving on the streets because they don't have enough empathy to see why we should help them, then we don't have a difference in opinion, we have a difference in our morals. and it's honestly exhausting to constantly have to debate with people explaining whether or not I should be treated as a human being. That is why I often do not converse with those types of people, because they're not open-minded, they're not going to change their views, and it's just so exhausting and hurtful that I personally don't want to deal with it. Yes, I agree. This is how everyone's social circle/social media becomes an echo chamber. Everyone they talk to or everything they read just reinforces what they already believe, and the space for worthwhile debate becomes non-existent. People are so quick to dismiss any other views, as if humans aren't complex and totally nuanced beings. I honestly don't think we'll get anywhere thinking this way. I live in northern England and left-wing parties are definitely the most popular here, at least they were in my university and are in my local area. A lot of left-supporting folk absolutely demonize the hell out of anyone whose views don't align directly with theirs. Conservative. You're basically Satan. Centrist. You may as well be conservative. Voted for Brexit? Well, you must be a racist with no brain cells, etc. etc. I myself am a central-leaning left supporter and feel like I can't even bring politics up. They'll cry burn the Tories and eat the rich but flat out refuse to have a legitimate, adult conversation with anyone whose political views are different from their own. It's so counterproductive. It's something that seems to be disproportionately more prevalent with the far left. They preach and lecture endlessly about open-mindedness, all while engaging mob mentality and rejecting any independent or critical thought. A lot of the time, their first reaction to views that oppose their own is to cancel them, shame them, and even to grossly misrepresent the opposing viewpoints in order to demonize them. That old "so you're saying" line. If someone has to utilize cancel culture or lash out because they're unable to deal with viewpoints that challenge or scrutinize their own, then they hold inappropriate and low-resolution ideas, and will never give themselves the chance to refine them until they step out of their echo chamber. Having to defend your ideas in a debate doesn't constitute abuse, and those that think it does are the real obstacle in the way of a progressive society.